Hello, and welcome to the online edition of the 2020 Education Initiative Competition Brief Lecture. I'm Leon Markham, Communications Manager at PG Bison, and I oversee the 1618 Education Initiative. Let's begin. This year's theme is the pursuit of balance. Let's get into the competition brief, and I'd like to read the preamble. Many brands are facing a new normal as younger people focus on accumulating experiences over possessions. The ability to post an experience and gain recognition on social media outweighs the need to own something. This means less purchases of physical merchandise. Added to this, a pay-as-you-go mindset is moving younger people from buying and owning things like CDs and DVDs to subscribing instead to streaming services like online music and movie libraries. Younger customers also expect brands to align with their values and passions. Shopping is seen as a social activity rather than a chore. It is about the user experience, time spent with friends, and where they can check in more than the physical product. As young people grow to represent more of the market, brands must focus on and anticipate these changing customer needs if they are to remain relevant and survive into the future. So just some thought starters. How do you, as future interior designers or architects, cut through the clutter and speak to the needs of this younger generation of customers? How does the site and its context inform your design? Each neighboring building forms an edge, a threshold, or a facade to new worlds. How do these worlds engage with the one that you will be creating? So looking at the introduction of the brief, it reads, located in the Lower Barkens Valley, Port Elizabeth, old warehousing has been converted into an industrial district. Within these multi-purpose warehouses, Werk has established an incubator environment for small businesses. Purposeful social engineering of the tenant mix, flexibility of site format, creates a sense of community, collaboration, and creativity for these small businesses. The destination location provides a managed footfall that gives small businesses direct access to a constant supply of willing customers. Werk's vision was to convert the industrial nature of the buildings and spaces into the first community-based space for work and leisure in Port Elizabeth, with a similar vibe to Cape Town's Old Biscuit Mill. The space now provides a mixture of manufacturing, retail, and hospitality brands. So I'm sure that you've been to a space like the Old Biscuit Mill in Cape Town, if you either live there or you've visited. In Johannesburg, we have the Maboneng precinct, and every city pretty much has a market that takes place on a weekend. And this is a place where young people really like to gather. They spend a Saturday afternoon. Some of these markets even have a night market once a month on the last Thursday of the month. And it's really a nice space to just come chill and just relax. And so Werk has established this incubator environment for small businesses, where they've taken these multi-purpose warehouses and they've put together these small businesses. And what's nice about this is that these small businesses get foot traffic, they get customers that they wouldn't ordinarily have received had they been in a small shop somewhere else, or if they were working just, let's say, off a street corner or some makeshift premises. So that's what the managed footfall means. It's that it actually directs traffic to where these small businesses are. And this is the first of its kind space like this for work and leisure in Port Elizabeth. So keeping in mind the above mentioned behaviors, your chosen tenant or brand is seeing a downward shift in their customers' buying patterns, and they have enlisted your services as the professional. You are to use your understanding of the given location, its tenants, and your target market to provide your chosen tenant or brand with a solution for the space indicated that is both a suitable fit and enhances the neighboring tenants' offerings. So that's quite a mouthful. There's a few things that you need to do. You need to understand the given location. You need to also look around and see who are the neighboring tenants, understand what their offering is and how do they actually complement what you might be offering. You need to think about your target market. And I've been asked the question about, what is this target market's age group? And we are working with young people, and it really becomes tricky when you say young people because you are as old as you feel, right? So I would say we could look at the age group of up to 35 years old. So saying people that are as young as you are, people who might be a little bit younger or a little bit older. And since we're looking at the 35-year mark, I would still pretty much fit into that category. And I quite like these neighbor goods markets and these environments on a Saturday. Well, that was before COVID-19. So here's your challenge. And this is where I want to really draw your attention because there are 3 key things that you need to do in this brief. And this is what they are. Firstly, your challenge will be to focus your design on the experience of the brand and product, as opposed to simply showcasing the physical product. So what that means is you need to focus on the experience of your brand. It's not just about a customer coming to your store and purchasing a physical product and then walking off. What is the experience that they actually get out of visiting your store? The other example I like to use here is the world we live in today is very much driven by instant gratification. We can get onto the internet off our phones. We don't even need to go far. The days of internet cafes are long gone. You can get onto your phone, you can make a purchase online, and you pretty much want whatever you have purchased, pretty soon, within the next 24 to 48 hours. So if a customer can log on to an online service and purchase a product and get it delivered to their doorstep tomorrow, what would make the experience different for them that they want to come to your store? What different or what extra do they get that's extra special from coming to visit your actual physical store that they would not get online? So they will still walk away with a physical product if they visited your store, but there will be an added extra special experience that they get. And that is what you need to think about, and that's what you need to work on. Then secondly, you need to link the brand that you've chosen in your first step to an existing social cause. There are tons of social causes in South Africa. So you can go and do a Google search on this. You'll find there's actually a website that has a whole list of these social causes, and you need to link this. So it must be an existing social cause, and you need to link it to the brand you've chosen. That will help to elevate the brand experience. And then thirdly, you need to clearly communicate in your design how the linkage connects the customer with the brand and the social cause, which translates into a sense of belonging and more sales, while respecting the current location and tenant mix. So just going back to the first point about choosing a brand, I want to point out that your brand can be an existing South African brand. It can be an international brand. This brand can also be a brand that does not exist. It can be a hypothetical brand. But what I really want to caution against here is that you spend your time, your creativity, and your energy on creating the experience that links a brand with the social cause. If you start getting caught up in actually creating an all-new brand and product that doesn't exist, you might get sidetracked. So please follow your lecturer's directive on this. But what I do want to say is that choosing a brand that is possibly local, meaning South African, and linking it, or it could be international, and linking it to an existing social cause might be an easier task, and then spend your time and your energy on really crafting a very clever experience for your customer. And then just a note, there are sufficient food and beverage brands within the precinct, therefore no additional brands in these categories will be considered. So should part of your experience at your store be that when a customer walks in, you offer them a cappuccino as part of the experience and hospitality, that is fine. But food and beverage cannot be your main offering. It cannot be a burger joint. It cannot be a brewery. You actually have a brewery right next door to your site. So your core service offering cannot be food and beverage. Next, you need to consider environmentally responsible and sustainable materials and methods in your design, but I'm sure that that's already part of your studies and that's what you do. Do not fixate on whether this is an architectural or interior design brief. Every year we have this debate with different students because this brief straddles interior design as well as architecture, and it becomes really difficult. The students start to think that they're not equipped enough to actually answer this brief. Rather use your strengths to design the experience, considering the internal and external needs to execute against the brief. Okay, so for sufficient parking space and services are planned, and those do not need to be considered or detailed in your design. So don't worry about bathrooms, don't worry about parking, don't worry about public services that will be catered for. Your interventions need to be as realistic as possible. So please make sure that when you are proposing your interventions, that they are as realistic as can be. Then, just some practicalities. Your presentation and entry must show the following: the chosen tenant or brand and rationale on relevance to the brief. This is something your lecturer will help you with as well. The experiential nature of your design, so the customer journey, and how the experience will stimulate social interaction and influence the target market interaction. An understanding of the properties and limitations of the site. So I want to draw your attention here to the position of the generator. Initially, when this brief was being put together, we thought it might be a good thing to just throw in a generator in the middle of the site to give students something to work around. But this didn't quite follow through when we finalized the brief. So do not worry about the position of the generator. There is no generator to actually work around or to consider. Then, this is the PG Bison competition. So we do ask you to please make use of PG Bison products and to please use them in interesting and innovative ways. And we need to actually see this facilitated in the look and feel of your design. I really just want to draw your attention to the last 2 years, 2019 and 2018. It was quite sad, and you'll see later on when I show you what the value of the prizes are, that the third prize was actually lost. It was just thrown away, literally, because students did not mention PG Bison product in their design. And even if they used it, they didn't label it. So they didn't even say that this was PG Bison Mellowwood, so that we knew what they were using. And they actually gave away the third prize to the value of 10,000 Rand. So I caution you, please do not do that. Do not throw that away. I don't know about you, but in this day and age, I could definitely do with an extra 10,000 Rand. So please make use of PG Bison products and mention it. Mention the products if it's Mellowwood. Mention the colors, mention how you've used it and where you've used it. All right, and then make sure that it's clearly indicated on your entry. And then again, we just reiterate the 3 key things that you need to do, and I'll go through them again for you. Firstly, it's about choosing a brand, local or international, that speaks to the location. So it must be a good fit. It mustn't be a misfit that just is not great for the site, for the location. Find a social cause which aligns to the brand you've chosen. And then thirdly, bring these 2 elements together to design an experience that is worth blogging about, that is worth posting about. So of course, we expect your proposal to be unique. And let me draw your attention to the location. 16 Lower Valley Road, Lower Barkens Valley, South End, Port Elizabeth, Nelson Mandela Bay. What I do want to say though is please, please, please be extra careful when you are Googling this address, and I will show you why. This map is what will come up in Google when you do a Google search of 16 Lower Valley Road. You can see that where the pin drop is a little bit further up from where Chicky's Yard is, because Chicky's Yard is actually the site that we are working with. And I'll just show you another view of the same map. So when I called Werk, I spoke to the guy and he said to me they have been fighting with Google for a long time to get Google Maps updated. So actually, when you put 16 Lower Valley Road into Google, it doesn't give you the correct location, although 16 Lower Valley Road is the municipal address. However, for the purposes of this brief, if you really need to Google it, you can use the following address, 2 Alabaster Street. However, I really want to warn you that you don't need to Google it. So please don't Google it, because everything you need is on the 1618 website. I will share the URL with you at the end of this presentation. The website is equipped as a central repository for you with all the information you need. You will have photos that will show you the site. You will have photos that show you the vibe of the place when it's got something happening on a weekend. You will find floor plans, you will find elevations. There's also a Revit model that's been added with different perspectives. And the brief is also on there, so you really have everything you need. These photos are taken from the photos on the website, and I just want to show you a few. So this just shows you like a bird's eye view of the location, and you can see where all those people have lined up, and this was obviously before social distancing. It was probably on a weekend where it was very full and something was happening, and it shows you that it actually attracts a lot of customers and a large audience. And I must say that the sort of attraction is more locals than it is visitors to this space. Werk, once again, you want to do research on them. And then Frederick & Son is a gourmet burgers and boerie place, which is not too far off from your site. This also gives you just a different view. So the Frederick & Sons is actually behind us now. And on our left is actually Chickie's Yard, where our site is. So if you see, we're looking out to where the guy's painting Chickie's Yard on that building. But Chickie's Yard is actually the courtyard where we are kind of looking in from. So the poles you see in front of you is actually like sort of keeping up the roof structure to where we are inside our site. So this is our site, and this roof structure can be demolished. You can take this apart. We are allowing you to go one level up. So that is the restriction, is one level up. So you're allowed to have essentially a ground floor and a first floor. Please keep in mind the context, keep in mind your neighbors, keep in mind everything around you, so that if you are going one level up and you decide you need to just redo this entire structure, make sure it's still fitting with the location and the space. This once again just gives you a different view of the site. So the two doors that you see ahead of you are actually doors to the brewery next door. So this is not where they have customers enter. This is actually sort of, you should call it their back door, their services door. So it's totally up to you. You can decide to close off these doors if you feel that the brewery has nothing to do with your store and it just interferes, let's say, with your look and feel. You can totally close it off. If you feel you actually love the fact that the brewery opens up like that, you could decide to erect a glass wall and actually have this as part of the experience, looking into the brewery, or incorporating any other creative idea you might have. So it's totally up to you. Then this is just giving you a view of inside the warehouse space and these incubator businesses. So these ladies that you see sitting here were actually sewing and beading dresses. I mean, imagine if they were just sitting on a street corner or in like a spaza shop. If you were walking past, you definitely won't stop and just have a look at what they're doing. But because they are in a vicinity like this, you might be going for a beer or, you know, for a burger, but you walk past them and you actually stop and you're interested to see what they're doing. There's also furniture design that happens here, and there are also architects that sit within this space. If you see sort of past this yellow structure, the people on the other side are sitting at the restaurant called Remo's. It's an Italian family restaurant, beautiful restaurant and amazing food. So this restaurant also attracts a lot of people and families. So imagine you might not be going anywhere else but to Remo's, but because these other shops are in the vicinity, you know, you will take a walk and look around and see what there is. So at this point, how do you feel? I hope you're not feeling too stressed and distraught. I hope that I've explained quite a bit to you at this point. So why do you want to win this competition? Well, just to take you through some of the prizes. 7 of the top 10 finalists will get 2,000 Rand in cash. The third prize of 10,000 Rand in cash is what was sadly just thrown away for 2 years, 2019 and 2018, because students did not make use of PG Bison product. And even if they did use it, they did not clearly indicate it in their entries. So please, I beg you, do not do that. Second prize is a trip to the 2021 Design Indaba in Cape Town and a 3,000 Rand cash prize. And I like to add here that it's a trip only to the runner-up if they are outside of the Cape Town area. So if you are needing to be flown to Cape Town from Johannesburg or Durban or some other city, PG Bison will cover your travel, will cover your accommodation, will cover your car hire for that duration. If you happen to be located in Cape Town or very, very close to Cape Town, then your prize will include full access to the Design Indaba as well as the cash prize. And then the first prize, which is very coveted, is an all expenses paid trip for the student and his or her lecturer. And I really hope that COVID-19 does not come in the way of the 2021 Milan Furniture Fair, because sadly the winner from 2019 and the winning lecturer could not take up their prize as yet due to COVID-19 and the travel restrictions. So this image is the top 10 finalists from 2018. And what I want to draw your attention to here is Kayla Vieira, who was the runner-up this year. And Kayla was actually offered a job by one of our judges, Dale, from Paragon Interface, on the night of the awards. So while the competition is nice for the prizes and it might be quite exciting, it's not really about the short-term gain. This is about your career in the long run. This is really long-term. And this is the kind of platform that this competition presents to students. Then this is just to show you our channels. So we really do take the top 10 finalists and obviously the winner, the runner-up, and we publicize the competition and the winners and the finalists as much as possible on our website, on our social media channels, and also on PG Bison's digital magazine. And we really try and get this information out to the industry. So let me just show you how to win. At this point, I'll ask you to please access a video, actually 2 videos on the 1618 website. There is a judging day video, which you can watch about what the judges actually look for and what they expect. And then another video is from last year's awards evening. So you can actually see a short interview with the winning student and her lecturer. And then of course you will need inspiration. So this might be your starting point for inspiration. Google, that's our go-to for everything, right? Or maybe this will be your next step, social media. Please don't do that, because this is the problem. Everybody is doing the same thing. So what we expect in this brief is not a copy and paste exercise. We expect unique creative ideas. I want to encourage you to read a book. Come up with some fresh thoughts, fresh ideas. I would encourage you to have a coffee with a friend, but that might not be happening now due to lockdown and COVID-19. But get into your kitchen, make a beautiful cup of coffee, step out onto your balcony, step out into your garden if you're lucky enough to have one, and really just take in nature and let everything around you inspire you. Maybe even COVID-19 has some lessons to teach you, and maybe there are some elements that you need to think about in your design, because life was very different. Even when this brief was initially put together, you know, well, nobody thought about how the world is right now. And it will be a new reality for everybody in the globe, not just South Africans moving forward. that we will need to actually think about sanitization, when people are walking in and out your stores. How do you actually space things appropriately so people aren't on top of each other? And so these are new things, I think, that we never really thought about as important as we are now. So what do you think your chances of going to Milan are in 2021? Well, I usually see approximately 27 design institutions around South Africa. That equates to about 800 students. And you only need to be within the top 3 or top 5 of your class. So depending on the size, if your class has up to 30 students, so 30 students and less, you only need to be in the top 3. And if your class has more than 30 students, you only need to be in the top 5. And what that means is that your lecturer will only submit 3 or 5 entries from the class, depending on the size. So you, first and foremost, just need to come out in the top 3 or 5 of your class to actually stand a chance. And then we get approximately 100 entries submitted. And that is what we judge on judging day. And ultimately, we filter down to get a top 10, so that those are our top 10 finalists, and then to actually select our winner. So it's not a cut on my chance competition, where you have 100 million people that have entered. The numbers really are small if you think about it, so your chances are great. These are my contact details. Should you have any questions, you can feel free to contact us via email, through our social media channels. I also want to encourage you to please direct your questions to your lecturer. Your lecturer will have my contact information where they can get hold of me, and we can actually get you answers to the questions that you need. And I really want to take the opportunity to say thank you and good luck. And I look forward to seeing who our top 10 finalists are for 2020.